Hi, my name is Ken Hughes. I'm at my fireplace again. Fire seems to have gone out, but on we go. People have been asking me a lot about the recovery, the potential consumer sentiment recovery as we come out of the lockdown and the effect of the pandemic. I think originally people thought it would be a nice V-shaped recovery where we had this complete collapse and then we'd have a nice recovery, but that's obviously not true. I think the most obvious shape of the recovery can be likened to a currach. Currach is an old Irish traditional rowing boat. At one end it's got a nice sharp stern, and then it's got a long shallow bottom and a slow angle up to the bow. That is likely to be our recovery. I think we've had a sudden collapse of consumer sentiment and economic activity, but the recovery is going to be 6-12 months long. And then even out of that 12 months, we will have a slower recovery up to where we were before the whole pandemic happened. And I think it's a bit like sitting in the back of the car as a child and saying, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? We're all doing that at the moment to our governments, to our businesses. We want this to be over. The reality, I think, from a consumer sentiment point of view is that it's not going to be over. And what you need to do as a business is to strategize how you're going to survive and thrive in the now, the then, and the when. And they're the three stages of the recovery. The now is what's happened right now. Businesses are closed and lots of businesses have to pivot to succeed. The then is the kind of the next, let's say 6 to 12 months. And we'll have social distancing. We'll have different business models that will be we'll have to work out how they work and how consumers will interact with them. And then you've got the when, which is the complete recovery when we're back to normal. And for your business, you need to decide, well, how do we maximize our assets? How do we maximize our customer experience? And how do we maximize our emotional connection with the consumer in each of these three phases? So let's take a restaurant. So in the now phase, a restaurant had to close. So suddenly they went from earning revenue every day to earning nothing. Now, obviously, very quickly, a lot of restaurants would have pivoted and became takeaways. They would have said, well, we have a kitchen, we have staff, so let's make deliveries and home deliveries and do takeaway instead. And maybe they'd never done that before, but it was a way to keep the business going and to keep and survive. Now, coming out of the now phase into the then phase, they start to open up again. They're allowed to open up, but of course they have social distancing rules, so they can't have 20, 25 tables, they only have to have 10 active tables. Now, 10 active tables with 2 meter distance between them all means that you don't earn enough revenue as you used to as a restaurant, so you decide to keep your takeaway business running because it's working, why not? And then you have an idea, well, hang on, why don't we do meal subscription boxes and deliver the top 10 favorite meals in our menu to the community with a click of a button on our website. We give you all the raw ingredients and you cook it yourself. You actually prepare it yourself. We can cook it and make it for you and deliver like a takeaway, or you can actually do 2 meals a week from our restaurant for a price, subscription meal box delivered to your home, and that takes off. And suddenly at the end of the then phase, maybe 6, 8 months, 12 months later, when we have the recovery and all the tables go back in and everything's normal again, that restaurant now maybe earns 50% of all its revenue from its meal subscription product that it launched during the then phase. They realized that actually all this time they had this kitchen, they had staff, they had the expertise, they had the produce of food, and they were only making money between 8 p.m. and 12 every night as a seated restaurant. Now they make money out of delivery, takeaway, meal subscription boxes, and the restaurant. So if you get the pivot right, what you do is you actually emerge into different segments. Take a gym. So the gym during the closure time, again, the now phase, shutters come down, gym is closed. Again, the gyms are all getting membership fees being paid every week. They say, okay, what do we do? Okay, personal trainers go online, digital product. They start to push out digital product to all their members at home. In the then phase, when they start to reopen again, of course, similar to the restaurant, they have social distancing to adhere to. So where there was 20 spinning bikes in the class, there's now only 8. Where there was a whole floor of gym equipment, there's to be 2 meters between each piece of equipment now. So less people can work out in the gym at a time. So what they do is they implemented a booking system, and now people can book various slots. But what they also start to do is they start to hire gym equipment and retail gym equipment for at-home workout. So now as a member, you can either go to a spinning class, which you book online, or else you can stay at home, and the bike will be rented to you for 3 months, and you can use the bike at home, and you can connect digitally into the studio and actually take part in the spinning class live on screen as it's happening. And what they'll do is they'll actually realize that previously they were just gyms, now they're going to be wellness centers. So whether you're working out at home, whether you're working out in their gym, there'll be your nutritionist, maybe even mental health So there's a whole host of things that people want in their lives that the gym will now start to do, and again realize there are so many other opportunities. Businesses are pivoting everywhere. One of my favorite examples was the Airbnb experiences. Airbnb experiences are run all over the world by people, but when it went digital and all the tourists disappeared, there was online Airbnb experiences. I went to Prague last week on a tour at night of Prague, and a history tour of the bubonic plague. It was amazing. So there's lots of ways you can pivot the business. Sweet Farm is an animal sanctuary in California, and they, like many zoos, rely on revenue coming in the gate of people coming to visit the animals, school tours. That all disappeared. How do you make money now? You're a charity. What they did was ingenious. Knowing they put two things together. We have animals, that's the asset, and what are people doing right now? And people were locked in their homes on Zoom calls for work all day. And they thought, what can we do? This is where creativity really comes into a good pivot. They launched a product called Goat to Meeting, where basically you can hire a live goat or alpaca to appear in your Zoom meeting in amongst all the corporate noise. And it took off internationally. It was such a hit. Now they spent all their time out in the paddocks with the goats and the alpacas and mobile phones, logging on for 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes into each Zoom call. They make more money probably than they ever did on ticket sales. So getting the pivot right, understanding what you need to do in the now, the then, and the when, and keep pivoting the business to open new channels. Actually, it becomes what you move from a crisis in a pandemic to significant opportunity. So really the opportunity is there all around. The second thing I want to talk about is the idea of emotional intelligence. I think nowadays we have to understand that we need to link in with our consumers in new ways. We need to really be there for them, really need to resonate with them, need to be part of their community, need to have their best intentions at heart. And so it's important, I think, to understand the difference between pity, sympathy, empathy, and compassion. So firstly, even below all those is indifference. To be indifferent to someone is really not good. Who wants to be indifferent? Who wants to be in a relationship where your partner is indifferent to you? Same in business. I don't want to be in a relationship with a brand or business who's indifferent to my needs or my suffering or my pain. Up one level is pain, in this pain evolution and emotional intelligence. Up one level is what we call pity. And pity is when you recognize someone is suffering, but that's it. You just acknowledge that they're suffering. Up another level is sympathy, and with sympathy you care that they are suffering. You may not be able to share in their suffering because you don't understand it, but you do care that they are suffering. That's what it means to be sympathetic. Empathy is one level up again, and empathy is when not only do you care that they're suffering, but you actually understand their suffering because maybe you've been through it before, or you can certainly share in their suffering in terms of what they're going through. And then finally, at the very top is compassion. And compassion is when not only do you acknowledge their suffering, not only do you care that they're suffering and you maybe share it, but you do something to relieve their suffering. And that's the trick here, do something. So what are you doing as a brand or business right now to be compassionate towards your customers? What have you actually done? What are you doing to make their lives better and easier? So for instance, my bank have given me a holiday from my mortgage. That is a compassionate way of helping with my suffering financially, maybe. My broadband provider has increased the capacity of my broadband for the same price because I'm doing so much work from home. That is a compassionate decision by the brand or business to reach out to its customers and do something proactively. Similarly, other brands are indifferent to my suffering. Other brands, like, so for instance, one of the climbing gyms I'm a member of sent me an email asking me to maintain my subscription to their business during their closure because otherwise they would go out of business. And that was it. I wasn't getting anything back. I wasn't getting any promise of future return of that favor. Just please give us your money or else we go bust. And so you need to understand linking in emotionally with your customer is important, but you really have to not only deliver sympathy, oh my God, that's awful what you're going through. Actually, you have to go up there and deliver compassionate, actionable, emotional, intelligent connections with consumers. That is how consumers will become brand tribe fans of yours, brand advocates for years. This is how brand loyalty is built, by emotionally engaging with consumers. Hope you're safe, hope you're well. Until next time, bye-bye.